Hey everybody! So this week there is not going to be a new episode of something because it didn't come on time, and also they're redoing our windows, so I could get it tomorrow, but I won't be able to film tomorrow. So instead I decided people seem to like the cooking thing, so I'm going to do a brand new thing I'm calling Food Review, in which I cook random garbage I got at the store, and I talk about the thing I'm going to review. This episode I'm going to review Deadly Class, Volume 1, Reagan Youth by Rick Remender. So first, before I get to the review, I'm going to start cooking. This week, the food is tofu, Melissa's organic tofu, all natural, no preservatives, extra firm. So I've cooked tofu 3 or 4 times now, and I get it wrong every time. I'm very bad at it, so this time I'm going to try harder and hope everything turns out great. First, you're going to need something to open it. This is the food knife I have. And the thing about tofu is it comes in this container with water. So, got tofu water on me. You want to open it like so. And then you be careful and dump all the water out over in your sink. Take out a big ol' loaf of tofu, squeeze some of the water out of it. I don't know if you can see this. Squeezing out the water. I'd moved the camera over here, but my hands are going to be constantly wet with tofu water, and I don't care enough. So you just kind of squeeze out. It's like, tofu is kind of like a sponge, but not like a fun kind. It's more like a gross food sponge that you have to like crush a bunch of just water out of in order to make it cook properly. Because if you don't cook the water out of it, you're basically just going to end up with a bunch of gushy grossness. Believe me, I've done it before. So there we have a whole bunch of tofu loaf. And keep in mind that some people eat this voluntarily, like me currently, where I am going to eat this. So I have an array of objects here to help me. Of course, the knife. I believe this is like a potato peeler, so that's going to help. I've got a thermometer, of course, a whisk, some kitchen scissors, and I went and bought tongs because last time I had to use crab crackers and that wasn't very fun. So I bought real kitchen tongs so that I can pick up a whole loaf. Great. So first you're going to want to cube this thing, and I find the best way to cube it is to just scissors. That's how you do it, right? So usually they'll have some lines on them. Line it up and just like you're cutting Christmas gift wrapping, you just, oh boy. See, it turns out, look how clean that cut is. If you can't tell, it's awful. Jeez, man. Okay, so scissors not a great idea. Maybe tongs. Use them as a cutting implement. Technically better than the scissors did. Potato peeler. This is going to give me some small tofu, I think. Yeah, that's not gonna. Nope, that's not great. whisk is useless. Okay, let's go back to the knife then. This is a bad knife. I'm gonna get a bigger knife. Bigger knife. Oh, look how easy that was. Oh, I hate myself. I hate myself. This is a dumb idea. Nobody's even watching. This is just me alone in my kitchen pretending like I'm doing something with my life. When really, I just got bored and was like, tofu, yeah? What if tofu? What if I did tofu again? I need an excuse to attempt and do tofu badly. Let's film it. Let's put it on the internet. That's funny. Oh, jeez. This is the worst. Like, I am going to eat this when I'm done, no matter how badly it turns out. I've eaten really, really messed up tofu before when I made it bad. This is just mush, some of this. I've destroyed it, and I have no one to blame but myself. So, come on. The big thing about tofu, that you're going to want to keep in mind, is that you want to dry it out. I think I did this in the steak one too, where you just leave it out and it dries, but tofu's a little bit more tricky, so you're going to lay it out on like a paper towel or something. This is going to go up as unedited as possible, because like I'm not even like framed good, and you can't even see my face, and I'm not even sure you can hear me, so this is going to go up as is. You guys got to deal with it. This is the what's the word? Consolation prize this week. Honestly, I should be apologizing with something like actually entertaining, and instead I'm just gonna make you sit here and watch me cook my dinner. It's gonna be good, though. It's gonna be when this is all done and I've made the perfect tofu. You don't even know. Don't even understand. I might cut this up. I might actually edit this. This is fun, right? Oh boy. I'm interested to see how long this is unedited. My phone's probably going to stop recording because it's going to run out of room. Okay. Well, I think one more cut should do it. Oh, I have wrecked this whole... I've wrecked this loaf, guys. I have destroyed this loaf. It's not even recognizable. So I think I'm going to cut up one more, and I'll save the rest of this for the next time I want to ruin food. How do you guys feel about sushi? Like, not eating it. Like, if you guys watched me make sushi, I feel like I could fuck that up pretty good. Okay. Like, I don't know. Tell me just go down in the comments and first just call me a name. Just be mean to me, because honestly I feel like I've been on YouTube long enough that I deserve to get mean comments. I don't know why I haven't got all the haters. I want some haters. That would be great. And then after you tell me a mean thing about me, go ahead and leave a suggestion for next food I should cook if I ever do food review again, because if I just stick to my own devices, you're eventually just going to watch me cook Like, there's a lot of foods I have just on the rotation that I'm decent at cooking. So I'm obviously not going to do those because where's the fun in that? But if there's any dumb, ridiculous stuff you think I could cook that would be entertaining, go ahead and leave that as a comment. I'll get right on it. Okay. So once you have made a terrible mess already, and you're letting your tofu dry with these paper towels, and take your leftover tofu, grab nearest Tupperware, throw that loaf in, lid, and I was going to throw it, but then I realized if I just exploded a bunch of tofu all over my kitchen, that would be not even worth the joke. So you put it in your fridge like a normal, rational person, and then you continue to live your life. So while you're waiting for the tofu to dry, come over and you start heating up your pan that you're going to cook in. Hey, so I read something about how you're supposed to like let your pan heat up and then put the oil in it after it's done heating. So maybe that's a thing that you should do. I don't know. I generally just kind of do whatever, and if it works, it works, because I'm lazy and I just want to eat food. So this is 12 minutes in and I've done nothing. I'm basically gonna just fry this tofu because otherwise it's kind of garbage. So go ahead and put some vegetable oil in there. Once it's heated up nice and good. Probably using too much, but I always do because I don't measure things and I don't care. So our stove makes great noises. So once you think it's hot enough, you're going to get your tofu that's been drying and you're just going to toss it in there and season it and then move it around and hope that it turns out good. You ready? So every time I do this, I'm pretty sure that I messed it up immediately. So I'm just kind of hoping that this time it works. Seasoning. And just kind of liberally apply it at first. Probably re-season it once it gets out of the pan, but you know, just for good measure. I'm never sure where to keep the heat because I obviously don't want to like burn everything, but I also don't want it to be cold and for this stuff to just absorb a bunch of oil and turn soggy and gross. I definitely think I use too much oil, but like I said, I always do, and it never gets better, and I never learn from my mistakes. So while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Deadly Class. So, like I said, this book is written by Rick Remender. This volume is volume 1. It's called Reagan Youth. No, I really, really enjoyed it. But then again, I kind of love everything Rick Remender does. One of these days I'll find an angle that's decent. So those of you who don't know, Rick Remender, I first discovered him through Marvel Comics, because he wrote Uncanny X-Force, which is one of the best X-Men things I've ever read. And then Remender, I'm pretty sure, also he definitely wrote some Venom issues, and I think he wrote some Secret Avengers. Not that I was a huge fan of Secret Avengers, but it was cool in its concept. Remender's one of those guys that can dig back into lore and find really cool stuff everybody's forgotten about and bring it back and make it matter again. And he does it in a cool way. It doesn't ever feel heavy-handed or anything. So, he quit Marvel Comics recently to pursue indie stuff. And, man, he's got probably 4 or 5 at least indie books. There's Deadly Class, Black Science, 7 to Eternity. That's just the ones I can remember. I think there's a couple more, even. But Deadly Class is the first one I picked up because I was really excited to read it. I went into this thinking it was more of a Battle Royale, Hunger Games kind of book, and I was wrong. It's actually about basically a street kid who gets inducted into an academy of assassins. So it's in that kind of vein, more along with Kingsman, and it's kind of like Harry Potter, but for assassins instead of magic. But it's neat. This covers the first 5 issues, I think, and the rules of the academy very quickly go from just, it's obviously they're training to become killers, but you can't kill other students because all the kids there are basically the kids of extremely influential gangsters and mobsters and kingpins and world leaders and dictators. So you can't actually hurt other students. And then you're also not supposed to kill anyone who doesn't deserve it. The main character's named Marcus, and the first assignment he's given is just to go kill a hobo that deserves to die. And it's hard for him because he lived on the street for so long. But it's really, all the things they do in this are really interesting. Even once the premise shifted from what I thought it was, and I realized what it became, it was still actually very cool. And I recommend it. This is on Image. It's an Image imprint, which is good news because it means this is cheap compared to Marvel books. And even with it being, a little cheaper, they don't skimp on colors and the art. The art is all really cool. I'm not a huge art guy in comics. As long as the story's cool, I can usually deal with anything, but the art in this book is actually amazing because they play with color in a really cool way, and just here's the first shot of the school. It's really neat, and there's 3 or 4 more volumes of this already out, and I'm surprised I hadn't found it sooner, but I've just been recently thinking I need to find Rick Remender stuff outside of Marvel, because I don't think he's going to come back anytime soon. And like I said, Image books are half the price as Marvel for usually more than what most Marvel books. Marvel books are usually really, really thin, and they're $20-25 bucks. But this is, I got this for $8 on Amazon, maybe even cheaper, I don't remember. But it was well worth the read, and I enjoyed it, and I recommend it to anybody out there looking for comics. If I make this a regular thing, I might just review indie comics, because indie comics are a thing I need to read more of, because I read a lot of Marvel, but I don't get around to these as much. So this might be a neat way of doing that. I think this tofu's probably done, because I don't want to cook it anymore, and I'm done. So thank you all for joining me for this dumb idea I had, and hopefully, I promise, something will be back next week with a regular episode. And before I leave, there's a brand new episode of Geekula, the podcast that I used to do, that I'm doing again. So it's present tense. It's a podcast that I do currently. There's a new episode up. It's a soft reboot. It doesn't matter if you haven't listened to the other episodes. It's fine. We don't call back to hardly anything at all, and it's fine. It's good. It's new. Please listen to it if that's a thing you enjoy. And Tofu.